Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to our video. This video, as the title suggests, it's going to be about how you actually can flip on the GE, also in free-to-play. Now, in free-to-play, well, there are several differences. The two main differences are you don't have as many items that you can choose to flip, and you don't have as many GE slots. I believe that in pay-to-play it's about 8 slots on the GE, whereas in free-to-play it's 3. But yeah, so without further ado, I'll explain what flipping is. So flipping is basically when you just buy an item on the GE for a set price, and it buys, then you wait a little while for it to sell on the G for a slightly higher price. So, and once you do that, you can actually make a little bit of money off of it. So let's just use some item as an example. So we're going to buy, let's say, blue dragon, blue dragon hide body, yep. And since our mid price is $54.20 now, if we buy a mid price, sometimes it buys, sometimes it doesn't. That's just the average price throughout the day adjusted from the previous day. So what we're going to do, we're going to buy one. We're going to try to buy it instantly. So we'll see what it goes for. And it's bought for 5,420 coins. So that was the GE mid price. Now you want to save that price, although you actually want to go sales history first. Well, if you have the item in your sales history, you don't really need to save the price, but unless you're, I guess, flipping multiple items across multiple accounts or something, or at least on pay-to-play. But yeah, so we instant bought for 5,420. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy some more. I'm sorry, we're not going to buy anymore. We're going to sell this, and we'll be selling it for a lot less under the mid price. And it doesn't sell, so this is actually a bad example of item, and I'll explain why a little bit later in the video. But we're just going to, for example, just dump it and see what. Just use it as how should I put it? Use it as like a baseline for hang on, my computer's lagging a little bit. Okay, sorry. So apparently I wasn't lagging, but yeah, I was on the buy section instead of the sell section. So we're just gonna put this in. Going to drop it all the way down. It still doesn't sell. Okay, so let's just try putting it for 1 GP then. 1 GP. Let's see. Go for 1. See what it sells at. Sell for 20 coins. Okay, but obviously this is going to be a really bad flip. I'll explain later, but basically you want to take the lower price and you want to buy the dragon hides at this low price, and you want to sell them later once they all buy at this higher price at 4,420. So that's basically the essence of flipping. You just buy something for a low price and sell it for a high price. Now, basically, there are a couple of tips that you really need to know, I think, when you're trying to flip. So the first flip is you want to create a list of items that have worked well for you. So usually for free-to-play, if you have 3 slots available, you want to get maybe 30 or 40 different items that you've tried and just figured out that work pretty well for you. Also, you want to track the buy limits of these items, for example. That is, items with higher buy limits, generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, give you more options for margin, which is basically to say that with the GE buy limits, you can only buy so many every, I think, 4 to 6 hours. It's either 4 or 6, but it's every 4 hours, rather, I should say. So the more buy limits, the greater the buy limits, plus the greater the price of the item, the more opportunity there is generally for flipping, especially at higher wealth levels. Now, the third thing you want to do is you want to start with at least 50 mil. Now, 50 mil is you can flip with less, but usually 50 mil is that sort of threshold, especially in free-to-play where you can afford to flip certain items and actually earn a decent profit off of them. So, for example, I think if you start with 50 mil, you're flipping 50 mil. If you get 2%, get 2% on each on that 50 mil, that's about 1 mil per flip, or I guess if you're going for just like buying one item or flipping one item. The fourth tip you want to do is, I mentioned this earlier, but basically we saw here that there's an insanely profitable margin between what we sold our D-hide body for and what we bought it for. Now, this is actually a very dangerous thing to do, because what this signals is that the price and supply of this item is highly volatile, right? So in general, you want to stick to it between a 2% margin. So we would subtract 20 from 5,420 to get our margin. And we want a margin of no less than 2%, but no greater than 5%. If you go below 2%, then there's a very good chance that the item you're flipping isn't worth it. But if you go above 5%, that's just there's a lot of instability on it, and you have a really high risk of losing a lot of money on the item, especially if you flipped it. The fifth tip is you want to check for items that are stable on the GE. So, for example, we don't have a GE graph specifically on the GE, but you can also actually look at the Runescape high scores, not Runescape high scores, but the Runescape website to determine whether or not item is kind of rising or falling based on GE averages. Yeah, and the final tip is, again, don't be afraid to lose money. Now, losing money, all flippers eventually kind of lose some money on some flips. The key difference is how can you rebound back off from it. So in some cases it might make sense to wait a couple days or hours or something like that to hold and see if it sells. But other times it's just worth it to kind of sell off. Now, based on what strategy you want to use, you'll want to calculate the expected loss. You'll take if you just sold off and versus the potential loss versus you, I guess if you held it. Now, it's a little bit hard to calculate, but general rule of thumb is that if it doesn't sell within 1 or 2 days, just sell it off if you made a loss on it. But you should be able to make that back anyway. And I guess the seventh tip I didn't write down is that you can actually do a lot of inactive flipping. So what I often do on free to play is that, well, because I have about like 400 mil on my account so far, it's very rare that I max out all my slots. But what you can do is, like, if you have time, you can just buy multiple buy orders of an item, and then it'll fill out that way. But so that was tip 7. To tip 8, again, going back to inactive flipping. Once you master the actual art of normal flipping, where you just buy and sell at the price checker rates, then basically what you can do is, if you know an item well enough, you can just try to buy it for a little bit below the ask for rate, or buy it for a little bit below the sell price, well, not sell price, but buy the item for a little bit below what you establish as a buy price, and sometimes they will actually go through. So this is especially the case in old school RuneScape, where you have the sort of GE tracker through RuneLite, which tracks the actual real live prices, but in RuneScape 3 it's a little bit different. And it's a little bit harder because you don't get those live prices. But yeah, so that's about it for this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. So I know it's really a short one, but again, flipping is very simple, and as long as you follow my tips, that you should be able to be successful. And don't forget to always keep trying to improve your ability at flipping. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So take care.